I'm Managing Editor Kim Schmidt. Welcome to On the Record. Here's a look at what's currently impacting the ag equipment industry. John Deere reported on November 26 that fourth quarter net income was down 20% year over year. Worldwide ag and turf sales were down 13% for the fourth quarter and 9% for the full year. Net sales for North America were down 8% for fiscal year 2014. Deere also released its 2015 outlook, calling for 2015 to be a trough year. Susan Karlix, manager of investor communications, told investors, although the ag economy remains in a relatively healthy state, lower commodity prices and farm income are putting pressure on demand for farm equipment, especially larger models. She added, at the same time, conditions in the livestock sector are more positive, providing support to sales of mid and smaller sized tractors. As a result, we expect industry sales in the United States and Canada to be down 25 to 30% for 2015. Mig Dobre, analyst with Robert Baird, says they anticipate ag and turf revenue to remain at trough levels into 2016. On a more positive note, Deere is calling for U.S. and Canadian turf and utility equipment sales to be flat to up 5%. While many farm equipment manufacturers faced a tough third quarter, Alamo Group had record earnings for the quarter. Following a visit to the Alamo Group headquarters in Texas, Michael Schlitzky, director and senior analyst with Global Hunter Securities, upgraded the specialty ag equipment manufacturer from neutral to buy despite industry headwinds. From the ag side, he says, since Alamo's focus is more on livestock and hay equipment, it will likely outperform the larger OEMs focused on large tractors and combines. Another reason for the upgrade had to do with some confusion that resulted from a large private equity firm selling its shares after realigning its strategy, causing some mispricing that has since been corrected. Finally, Alamo is a big player in the snow removal equipment market, and that has had a big impact on the decision to upgrade the company to buy. Here's what Schlitzky had to say.
Believe it or not, Alamo is a leading maker of snowplow equipment, and what drives the sales there isn't about this year's forecast for snowfall, but it's more about what happened last year, because politicians who faced heavy snowfall last year don't want to be caught again without equipment for the second year in a row. And indeed, last year, in Alamo's key sales regions, snowfall was nearly 50% above normal.
And now here's technology editor Jack Zemlicka with a report from the Technology Corner.
Thanks, Kim. Farm equipment dealers are accustomed to protecting their businesses from common liabilities such as property damage and bodily injury with the necessary insurance coverage. But are dealerships' existing policies adequate when it comes to insulation from precision ag liability? Not always, according to Michael Russell, Senior Account Executive with Federated Mutual Insurance Company. Precision farming has created new liability exposures for dealers that didn't exist even a few years ago, he says, and many are still in the early stages of determining what additional layers of protection are needed to avoid a potential claim from a customer. This is a challenge, given that precision technology is evolving at a rapid rate, and new products, such as unmanned aerial vehicles, are adding additional considerations when dealers evaluate insurance coverage options. In many cases, dealers are setting expectations for customers with the technology or precision service they provide, and there's a potential risk if those expectations aren't met.
We're seeing more dealers have agronomists on staff. And so you got agronomists out there going out and suggesting that we use this level of fertilizer or plant different in this part of the country or space the rows, this close or whatever like that. And so if the farmer's not happy with that, the results of that, there's going to be an allegation that, hey, I took your advice and it didn't work out for me. And so that's when it's no different than anything else that we see out there. Then there'll be an attorney get involved and there'll be a lawsuit. And so what we don't want dealers is to be surprised when they submit that to the carrier and the carrier says, well, sorry, there's no coverage for that. You have to defend this on your own. Because it's one more evolution of the business operations that they're dealing with out there.
To minimize risk, Russell advises that dealers work with insurance companies that specialize in endorsements and risk management tools because as precision farming continues to evolve, so too will liability exposures and necessary solutions. Back to you, Kim.
Thanks, Jack. While there has been much talk about high used equipment inventories over the last year, new equipment inventories have caught up and are now a big concern as well. October is typically the biggest sales month for both combines and high horsepower tractors, but the Association of Equipment Manufacturers' October sales report showed U.S. row crop tractor sales decreased 17% in October and inventories increased 7% in September. According to the November Ag Equipment Intelligence Dealer Sentiments and Business Conditions Update, 48% of dealers reported used equipment inventories were too high in October, similar to the 47% the previous month. New equipment inventories, on the other hand, were higher in October, with 48% of dealers reporting inventories were too high. New equipment inventories have been growing steadily over the last few months. In September, 42% of dealers reported new equipment inventories were too high, following 38% in August. And now from the Ag Equipment Archives. In 1950, the pulvy-mulcher is introduced by Brilliant Iron Works. This secondary tillage tool tills and compacts a seedbed in one pass, designed to finish and firm the seedbed prior to planting. 64 years later, new models of the pulvy-mulcher are still being used today. As always, we welcome your feedback. You can send comments to kschmidt@lespub.com. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.